Welcome into the Sports Buffoons podcast.
Welcome on in, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Back once again, the Buffoon Clan, but we're missing one today. Jason JG is out for this week, but we have here Tanner Dawson and Mike Settle. How you doing,
guys?
Tanner?
I'm doing fine, man. Got some relief done today.
You got some what done?
We got relief.
Relief.
Guys,
Relief.
I don't know if you guys paid attention today, but there's some big news that happened today for the United States of America. James Harden is no longer going to be involved with the Houston Rockets. That is a huge deal that went down today.
I agree, and actually when you said relief, I thought you were going to talk about some kind of impeachment, but go ahead and talk about the NBA some more if you'd like.
Impeachment of James Harden. So quick update here, guys. I'm so happy to see this finally happen. So James Harden was part of a 4-team trade deal in the NBA with the Houston Rockets, the Cleveland Cavaliers, Indiana Pacers, and the Brooklyn Nets. So that is massive. So James Harden went to the Brooklyn Nets to join Kyrie Irving, DeAndre Jordan, and Mr. Kevin Durant. And in turn, they had to send away. They sent away Jarrett Allen and Taurean Prince to Cleveland. In turn, another big name, Victor Oladipo from the Pacers, got to go to the Houston Rockets to join John Wall in that squad. So finally, Houston gets some relief and gets a player who is actually going to play for them and is in shape. I don't know if you saw James Harden the other day, but he didn't look too pretty. He might have had too much of this in the strip club.
What is this, Tanner? What are you drinking over there?
Oh, sorry. I got a Limitless Coconut Stout Porter.
Does it
Coconut
say
Stout. It's not porter.
Does it say the ABV on
It
there?
is a 9%.
There it is, 9%er for Tanner
It's good
Dawson
stuff,
over
man.
here.
Good stuff like they always do.
We'll see if we can make it through the whole podcast without him falling over out of his chair kind of deal.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, guys, so Jason hopefully will be on later this week. He does want to talk about this trade, the impact on the NBA. Obviously, hopefully this does well for Kyrie Irving with the Nets, who's also been causing drama on that side. So hopefully that clears his head up in a way and helps confidence and gets him back on the court because he's a guy to deal with. So, Mike, what do you got going on over here?
Well, I did have a Tank 7 over at my favorite place lately these days at Hy-Vee. And some sushi, which was phenomenal. But
You love that place.
I'm going to be sipping on a Monaco during this podcast for you guys. So those of you out there that know what a Monaco is, it's kind of it's a premium mixed drink made with vodka, natural flavor, and certified colors. So it's extra certified for the cranberry deliciousness. So we'll see how that plays out for me, I guess. But Tanner, so as we all know here, we are a Kansas City podcast based out of KC. So we are extremely happy to put this down as our first official Chiefs playoff podcast because it is playoff week, boys and girls. And so you're wearing the shirt right now, the Super Bowl champions.
Yes. It's only fitting, right?
From 1 year ago, the Kansas City Chiefs.
Only
And
fitting.
so we will be diving in quite a bit here to the Chiefs and Browns for you guys. I just wanted to make sure you got your NBA plug put in there real quick.
Like I said, I had to get that out of the way. It was a big message. We had to get that just out of the way. Again, Jason's going to go in more depth of what he believes
Later on in the
that
week.
means to the
Yeah.
NBA. So
Yeah, I did watch the national championship game in the NCAA on Monday night.
Man.
It started off as a fun game,
It
but the
was.
second half ended up being a blowout, as we expected, I think. Alabama roll-tided right over them in that game against Ohio
Devontae
State.
Smith with 3 touchdowns the first half goes out with the injury, and it's like it doesn't even matter.
He went for
Doesn't even
215
matter.
yards. 215 yards in the first half and 12 catches.
Can you believe that Alabama had that Mac Jones kid at quarterback just sitting behind Tua and Jalen Hurts and just he didn't even transfer?
Tanner, that's
coming.
every position Alabama
so
does
crazy.
that. Running backs, wide receivers, quarterbacks. It doesn't matter who it is. It's just every position they're waiting in the wing to just
I want that
go into
offensive
place.
lineman they got too.
Yeah, they got
Big old 70 there.
a lot of talent over there. But we did watch that, and we are now moved on strictly to NFL discussion, at least for the next 3 weeks while we roll up on the playoffs. And the playoffs in general here, I thought we had a really fun week, actually, the wild card weekend we just experienced. And was there any surprises to you about wild card weekend?
There was a surprise. So Washington had Alex Smith go out last minute. He wasn't starting. Tyler Heineke came in, and I was really impressed on how well he kept up. Unfortunately, there was a couple stops that Washington had to make, and they couldn't make it. But the Tyler kid, he kept at it. He kept throwing the ball. He was placing the ball like he was an NFL starter. And that's the stuff I love seeing. That was probably the biggest surprise of how well that game actually went down in the end without Alex Smith at quarterback.
Yeah, that was a pretty impressive performance there by Heineke. And I agree with you on that. I actually thought they had a chance to maybe win that game. But, the Washington football team was 7-9. They really didn't deserve to move on. So the better team did end up winning that game.
Unfortunately, they were 4-1 under Alex Smith. So they couldn't carry that to a 5-1.
The only thing that surprised me was the Los Angeles Rams going and getting a victory. And they just outplayed Seattle. There's no other debate about that.
How about Goff coming in, having to come in off the bench because, he had thumb surgery, I think it was 12 days ago or something.
Yep.
And he came out like it was nothing. Like it was nothing. And they ended up running the ball really well with Cam Akers, and the better team won, I guess. The better team won.
You think the Rams are better? Well, we all saw Seattle's defense throughout the year was not great. Man. So their defense had issues, and so they were never probably going to be Super Bowl caliber due to that defense, even though we both like Russell Wilson.
How about the disappointment of Jamal Adams on that team?
That was bad.
The disappointment.
Bad
he wasn't
game.
the same Jamal Adams we saw with New York. He wasn't aggressive, and when he was, he got hurt or he overshot. Like it just wasn't the same player that we saw coming from New York and that everybody wanted.
His angles, tackling, and coverage were all pretty terrible.
Yes,
I don't know how else to describe it for him, but it was not his best. And he's a guy that actually I think he is aggressive in the mindset.
Yes.
He's aggressive in the way he wants to play, but he doesn't perform up to that level. At least he did not, at least with Seattle. But then again, it's like, okay, in New York, you're going to stand out because everyone else there is pretty garbage. And so you're going to look better than you probably really are. And also you feel like you got to make up for the lack of talent on that team if you're playing on that defense. So he goes to Seattle, which is not a great defense, but it's still got better quality coaching and schematic assignments than what he had with New York. So keep that in mind. So that was my only surprise, was seeing the Rams though getting a win, because I actually did not expect that. Neither one of us did. Jason JG did expect that, and he was correct.
JG was right. We have to give him props for that one. Now, how about walking into this game, guys? Who would have thought the Cleveland Browns would be up 28-0 into the first quarter of that Steelers game?
What's so funny about that, the opening play reminded me so much of the Broncos and Seahawks. No, this is the one that they lost to Seattle.
You're talking about that one.
It was the exact same opener of Seattle and Denver. I think it was like Super Bowl 49, I believe. And the ball went right over Peyton Manning's head, first play of the game. And if you would put a bet on that to happen, a safety for the first play of the game, then put down that. Like $10.
Yeah, somebody won.
You would have won like a couple grand, I think.
Like how crazy was that? And the miscommunication between James Conner and Ben Roethlisberger trying to get that ball, keep it from the end zone, and it was like neither of them really wanted it. They didn't really care, in a way. Like, yes, they were on the ground, but go after it, man. Go after it. Don't let them start with the safety or a touchdown right off the bat like that. That's just causing yourself to be upset.
Yeah, let's dive more into the playoffs here in a little bit, Tanner. But right now, let's get down and give the people what they want to hear about. They want to hear about Chiefs and Browns this weekend coming up at 2:05 p.m. Central Time, and the Chiefs are 9.5-point favorites right now on the game. The over-under is 55.
Yeah.
55 is the over-under. I think that's a little low.
It is way low.
Because I don't know. I think I could definitely see the Chiefs putting up at least 35 points in this game.
I think you have some stats. Maybe you don't, but doesn't Andy Reid, after a bye week or an off week, tend to score closer to 40 to 50 on his own?
Yeah, he destroys teams after a bye week. Yeah. In fact, after a bye week, he is 19-3 all time. After a 12 to 14 day preparation period, which is a different way of phrasing that, he's actually 26-5 for his entire career. And so take those two numbers and make what you want of them. You know that means the guy is the most successful post-bye week coach of all time. And not only did he have really 2 weeks to prepare. We're doing 3 weeks from the time the starters last hit the field till this weekend coming up here in Kansas City. So they obviously had the Week 17 game off, the starters, and then they had the bye week of having the wild card game off. So 3 full weeks for these guys to get ready. And the injury report did come out today, by the way, on both ends of the spectrum here with Chiefs and Browns. Sammy Watkins did not practice today. I think he could still be eligible to play for sure. It could be very precautionary because, let's be honest, he's been a little fragile in his career throughout time at Buffalo, back with the Rams and with the Chiefs.
But normally come playoff time, Sammy Watkins' playoff time is what you want and when you need it. He was a huge, huge asset for us last year in the playoffs and in the Super Bowl. It's going to hurt if we don't actually have him during this playoff run, right?
Oh, absolutely. It'll hurt a little bit. We'll feel an effect because he is a very reliable target for Patrick Mahomes. And he's a receiver who, when he's on the field, does not give up on plays either. And he's a great blocker. So when it comes to those outside plays coming from the running backs, and by the way, the reason I bring that up is because Clyde Edwards-Helaire, the Fresh Prince, was active and was on the practice field. So we are looking forward to that after what looked like it could have been a horrible injury just about a month ago. As we saw him get walked off the field by 2 teammates. That was a little scary back then at the time, but I feel confident in thinking that at least for the stretch, we'll take it easy on him for this game if we can. Well, Le'Veon Bell gets the bulk of the carries, but I think Clyde is going to be good to go for the game if we need him.
Yeah, but we got depth at running back, too. I mean, we got Darrell Williams, we got Le'Veon Bell.
I'm a big fan of Darrell Williams.
And you can just throw Clyde in there and have him get, when you really need something. Let Clyde do his thing. Like, don't hold him back just because he got injured a few weeks ago. Do not hold Clyde back.
Yep.
That's a mistake that coaches make sometimes. I don't think Andy Reid makes this mistake.
No, we have 3 games left of the season in Kansas City. So
let him go.
The fact is, we play this game, we play one more after this if we beat Cleveland, and then if we win that game, we go on to the Super Bowl. 3 games left, and we'll have a whole week to prepare for the Super Bowl. Actually, 2 weeks to prepare for the Super Bowl if it comes down to that. We're looking ahead, talking ahead a little bit, but we obviously are very confident in what Kansas City has to offer as being the best team in the NFL record-wise at the end of the season here.
Correct. And you talked about injuries coming back. So last week, you guys know the Cleveland Browns had a COVID issue going on right at the start, right after their Week 17 win against the Steelers. And what happens? Oh, yeah, COVID hits, right? So they lose their head coach, Kevin Stefanski, and he comes back this week. They add back Denzel Ward this week and Kevin Johnson, 2 key defensive backs on their team. So look for them to come back, and they'll add that offensive lineman back as well.
Yeah, you'll see a familiar face, by the way, in the secondary of Cleveland. They have Terrence Mitchell. Yes, he's still around. He is actually a starter in the NFL still. If you guys remember, if you followed the Chiefs here for the last, going back about 7 or 8 years, Mitchell was actually a good quality player for the Chiefs back then, even at times when we weren't, as good as we are now. I'll put it that way. Mitchell was a productive player, and he still is doing a swell job in Cleveland, but he's got to face Tyreek Hill, and that's going to be an issue for him. So that's going to be he's going to face Tyreek Hill. He's going to face
Travis Kelce.
The ability of Kelce is going to be matched up at some point, and as well as hopefully Samuel Watkins, and then we're going to have other guys. Like I actually think Byron Pringle could be in the mix if Watkins cannot play. I think Pringle should be the guy that gets the most of these snaps over DeMarcus Robinson.
Well, DeMarcus is going to get his snaps. DeMarcus is going to be there. Guys, I see Twitter all the time say, I hope DeMarcus is benched. DeMarcus isn't going to be benched. The guy gets the snaps. He gets the targets. He's going to be out there. We just need to hope for that he goes the right direction, he catches the balls, and he makes their smart plays. That's what we need to think about. Whether Sammy is out there or not, DeMarcus will be in there for Patrick Mahomes.
So what is the thing that you fear the most about facing Cleveland Browns? Because I think out of all the teams in the playoffs we could have faced in the divisional round, this was the team I wanted personally. I told you guys this a week or 2 ago. I said I want the Browns in Kansas City. I wanted the Browns to beat the Steelers, and they did, handedly. They just destroyed them. And what it came down to, yes, Pittsburgh slowly came back at the end, but Cleveland's running game is so strong between Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, former Chief Kareem Hunt, that is. And that is the thing. You don't want to give Cleveland the lead because that is a team. Did you realize the stat about Cleveland, actually, Tanner? As far as on the ground this year, as a team, they had just under 500 attempts total, but rushing yards, they had 2,374 rushing yards and averaged 4.8 yards per carry as a team.
Yes,
with
as a
21
team.
with 21 touchdowns.
With two guys right there leading the charge.
Like that is the best tandem in the NFL by far.
All right, so here's my fear, right? As the running game gets going for Cleveland, they get confidence, right? We're trying to bulk and stop that run, stop the Chubb Hunt combo. Baker Mayfield actually hasn't had too bad of a damn season, guys. He really hasn't had too bad of a damn season, if you think about it. The guy only has, I think it was 8 takeaways this season.
Giveaways?
8 turnovers.
Giveaways?
8 turnovers.
Okay.
Right? That's pretty good. And he has 20-something touchdowns.
I see 27.
Right?
touchdown
27.
passes.
It is 27. Okay. So it is 27 touchdowns, guys. Baker, if you give him that play action play, granted we are really good at that play action and reading that, you give him that play action, we could cause trouble for our secondary no matter what happens on our D-line. Because our D-line is not very good at getting to the passer. We have to get to the passer, but we also have to stop that run. We stop the run, we stop the Browns.
Yeah, and the scary thing about the Chiefs' defense, at least as we've seen lately, is that they do not get pressure with their front four. The Chiefs are a team that are designed within Steve Spagnuolo, our defensive coordinator, designing blitzes to create pressure or to create confusion against quarterbacks, where the most successful teams in the NFL, they get pressure with their front four, so that way it allows them to be more creative on the back end of the defense in coverage, and that's something that actually is Patrick Mahomes' worst nightmare.
Oh, by
Is when a
far.
team can get you pressure with front four, or even front three at times, with this offensive line that Kansas City currently has. But on the Chiefs end of the things, we've only been getting pressure lately through nickel blitzes and through creating some kind of stunts and maneuvers within the D-line to create pressure that way. Because for whatever reason, guys like Frank Clark has been disappearing at times. Chris Jones actually led the team in pressures with 60 on the season, but even Chris Jones cannot do everything by himself. We're facing the best offensive line in the NFL, in my opinion at least, against the Cleveland Browns.
It's fair.
We're not going to be able to just rush the front four and get pressure. It's not going to work that way. We're going to have to create some kind of blitz scheme to come at Baker Mayfield to cause him to make mistakes. And so my big thing with the Chiefs in this game, at least, is getting that lead early on and sustaining that lead and not laying off the pedal whatsoever, pushing it on. If we have a chance to go 21-0, put up 21-0. Don't back off the acceleration pedal there, Andy Reid. We need to put up as many points as possible, because if you give Cleveland a chance, they will then, you get close in the game and start running the ball with those two running backs. You want to force them to pass at the end of the day.
You do. You want to force them to pass. Now, real quick here, I do want to talk about a couple of teams that Cleveland played and that kind of would be they're playoff teams, right? They just played. So they got swept by the Ravens this year, and it wasn't very good. They had losses to the Steelers and the Jets as well. The Jets towards the end of the season was the worst part of all. So I do want to take you through two games that would be big in the playoff time. There's the Titans game they had to play. They won that game. The Titans game, Baker had over 350 yards, 4 touchdowns, no turnovers. The rushing attack was 118 yards. It wasn't great. They had 3.3 yards per rush, which wasn't bad. But they held Henry to 60 yards on 18 attempts, and they forced 3 turnovers to win that game. They won possession of time by 13 minutes. Right? They held on to the ball. They kept
a long time.
Henry, and they kept Tannehill and A.J. Brown off that field. Now, the other big game they played this season and then won was the Colts game. Baker had 247 yards, 2 TDs. He did have 2 picks that game, but the rushing attack was 124 yards for 33 attempts and 3.9 yards per attempt. That is without Nick Chubb in that game, guys. There was no Nick Chubb in that game. Just so you're aware, that is full Kareem Hunt right there. They kept the Colts under 7 yards rushing on 18 attempts again, and they won the possession of time with 10 minutes, and they forced 2 turnovers. Those are 2 big playoff teams right there that they held in check and won the game.
Yeah, they have a very interesting dynamic about themselves. I will say that.
Yeah.
And they're actually fun to watch. I don't know if you guys have watched very many Browns games, even though I agree with over here with Zach Hughes, who's following us along here on Twitch, saying F the Browns. Yes, we can go with that, at least for this week anyway. So I'm a fan of that hot take right there. But
So Cleveland's pass defense rankings, guys, real quick.
it's bad.
19th, and so the rating is 19th, and their yards per game is 22nd. They had 0 sacks last week versus Pittsburgh on 68 passing attempts by Ben Roethlisberger. 68 attempts last week, and you had 0 sacks. But that doesn't mean nothing to the Chiefs line. It means nothing to the Chiefs line. So, real quick here, Mahomes has been sacked 7 times in the last 3 games. 7 times last 3 games. He had 4 interceptions last 3 games of the season. He wasn't going on such a hot streak going into the playoffs here, into the 2-week rest. So you got to think about that. But we are actually, with Patrick Mahomes and his ability to work himself out of the pocket, outside of the line, not protecting him, they are actually 5th overall on that for avoiding sacks, to not take the sack. So that's pretty impressive for as bad as the line has been for us.
You talk about Patrick Mahomes is 5th best at avoiding taking sacks, because he's obviously he's got a great scrambling and pocket awareness. That goes a long ways. We see guys like Tom Brady and Peyton Manning who have dealt with offensive lines that maybe look good on paper because the sack numbers are down.
Yes.
But the deal is, quarterback awareness of your pocket is...
They gave up the 5th fewest sacks. I apologize.
Okay, in the NFL.
Yes, in the NFL.
Right. So
that's actually a big number compared to what I thought they were at.
Right. Well, let's go to the pressures. You see the pressures. Now, if you look at pressures, Tanner, I bet that number is way more towards at least the middle of the pack, because Mahomes has been running for his life, it seems like, over the last 8 games or so, especially with... Are you worried about the idea that we're facing Myles Garrett, who had 12 sacks this year, and Mitchell Schwartz is going to probably miss this game again, as he's missed most of the season?
I'm not really too worried about it, to be honest with you. He's going to make an impact. He's going to get to Mahomes at some point. But is he going to be the key stopper to Mahomes not throwing the ball or getting the ball to where he needs to be? No. Patrick, Andy Reid, and that offensive line is going to figure something out if it comes to enough problem, and they're going to take care of it. I'm not too concerned about it.
I do want the Chiefs to be able to make some shot plays downfield, because for whatever reason this year, the Chiefs' offense has not been quite as explosive on big playability as they have in the previous 2 years with Mahomes at quarterback. A couple numbers here for me to run down with you guys as far as Browns and Chiefs offensive comparison over the course of this entire season, including the playoff game that the Browns just had. But there's 40-point games, which the Browns just obviously went over that threshold this past weekend. Browns had 4 40-point games this season. The Chiefs have had 1 game over 40 points, which is crazy to think about, but it just means we're consistent. We're consistently putting up around 30, because we ended the season around 30 points per game scored. Yeah. So, and then 3 touchdown quarters, which is a weird stat. I don't really know why that's even a thing. But the Browns had 5 different times where they had 3 touchdowns in 1 quarter. And the Chiefs are a team known to get hot like that. And so the Chiefs are a team who we've known and seen before. We scored 4 touchdowns in 1 quarter before. And the Browns, the Browns did it 5 times this season. And then one other thing, which I was kind of surprised about, on 50-yard plays, the Browns actually had 4 of those this season, where the Chiefs only had 2. So if you're just looking at these random, stupid numbers here, the Browns' offense seems like it's more explosive, when we know that's really not the case. But the Chiefs at times, I feel like, have held back from their ability, and I think a lot of it has to do with the offensive line not giving Mahomes quite enough time to be able to make those shot plays down the field where he wants to go throw downfield and make big plays. So
that's very true.
Are those numbers surprising to you?
Actually, they are, and that's especially without Odell Beckham Jr., who was supposed to be a huge part of that team. Obviously, Jarvis Landry has taken over that team, and he has since he's been there. But I am very surprised to see those kind of numbers compared to the Chiefs, especially with a team like what we got.
Yeah. So with as far as the Chiefs go, anyways, offensively, I think there's not going to be any problems whatsoever. I think we're going to be fine. The Chiefs did have Willie Gay missing practice as well. If we can add him to the mix, we did not talk about him quite yet. He's played roughly 25% of the snaps on defense for this team this season, so he will be missed, but we got back guys like Anthony Hitchens is back and Damian Wilson.
Yeah.
And so those guys are back in the mix. We should hopefully see a little bit less of Ben Neiman. If he's listening out there, well, too bad, man.
We're going to see Ben Neiman, guys.
He's going to be out there.
Just brace for it. We're going to see Ben Neiman.
He's going to be out there. The Browns receivers don't worry me too much, though. They got Jarvis Landry, which we talked about. After that, though,
Austin Hooper.
That's a tight end, but yeah, I mean, as far as receivers, I mean.
Well, you got to think about receivers, tight ends go hand in hand. Look at KC right now, right?
Well, Kelsey's a different kind of animal.
When I hear receivers, I hear guys who catch the ball, right? Guys who catch the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Chubb, Hunt, Hooper, Jarvis.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I totally understand where you're coming from on that for sure. I will say for the Browns offense, after I named out all those stats, their red zone touchdown percentage is 73.6, whereas the Chiefs is only at 61%. So they have an extra 12 percentage points on the Chiefs in the red zone over what they've done production-wise. And does that have a lot to do with Andy Reid's ability to get cute at times in the red zone, you think? Because we've seen goofy plays here and there throughout his entire tenure in KC. I feel like sometimes we just get pounded in.
It's just what Andy Reid. Patrick Mahomes wants it. The offensive guys want that cuteness, the cute plays, the cool ones, right? They want those plays because it's fun. It's fun to them. Now, is it fun to us as we sit here and watch them botch a play like that? No, it's not. But for them, it's something fun to do. You know, it's just something fun on their side, and they know they can execute it because they've done it in practice many times, or else they wouldn't have ran the play. So, it's just what Andy Reid does. He opens it up to his young guys.
Yeah, I told you guys back in his rookie year, but Nick Chubb for the Browns is a phenomenal running back, and Nick Chubb gives me a half Chubb. At least he did back there, but now he gives me a full Chubb because that dude is legit.
Full Chubb for Nick Chubb.
It is absolutely ridiculous how good he is. The perfect blend of like patience, power, size, and speed. I actually think he's better than Kareem Hunt, and he's a guy who's consistently averaged 5 yards per carry or more in his career. And did you see that crazy stat, Tanner, that I actually texted you during the game? But in the fourth quarter this year of NFL games for Nick Chubb, he averaged 10 yards per carry.
That's so ridiculous.
Is that real? How is that a real stat? Like Felix Jones at Arkansas at one point averaged 9 yards a carry.
Nuts.
That's in college at Arkansas. But we were talking about in the fourth quarter, which basically means the closeout games. You're at the fourth quarter. We're trying to close the game out. Hand the ball to Nick Chubb, and he'll get us a victory to finish the game out. He has 33 rushing attempts and had 330 rushing yards, 10 yards per carry in the fourth quarter of games this year. Now, yes, the sample size of 33 carries is not huge by any means, but just the efficiency of that alone, regardless of that, is just freaking amazing.
It's not easy to do, period, so, yeah.
So that's what I mean about the Chiefs cannot get behind in this game, because I don't want to dealing with Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb.
So here's a stat that's going to surprise you. Chiefs are ranked 32nd on defense in the red zone.
Bad.
In the red zone. That means we give it up almost every single time. That means the Jets are better than us. The Giants, they can hold a team better than that.
Look at that. Red zone percentage allowed. 76% touchdown rate.
76% of the time there are people in the red zone, they're going to get in.
And what do you think the Browns are going to do in the red zone?
Hand it off, baby.
Hand it off to Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. So defense, we gotta get this together.
This is an issue.
A legitimate problem, especially facing a team like the Browns, who have the best running game, in my opinion, out of all teams.
I wish I would have went back to last year's defense to see where they were at this point on that red zone.
The red zone defense was better last year, Tanner. I can promise you that.
It's hard to get worse, I think.
I will actually let you know that information here in about 10 seconds, as a matter of fact, because the Chiefs' defense, as far as in the red zone, historically, the past couple of years, has been way better. So here we are. To put in perspective, we just saw 76%. Last year, they were 50.9% red zone percentage for touchdowns converted.
Wow.
So they're an extra 25% worse.
Wow, that's like just letting them in. Here's the door. Go ahead, we'll open it for you.
Yeah, that is absolutely
figure that out.
ridiculous
That's bad.
for that to be the case in KC. I don't know what the difference is. I don't know because we have Mike Pennell still back on the team from after last year.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know if it starts with our line. I think it starts with the linebackers, dude.
They've been pretty bad this year.
It's been rough.
The Chiefs' red zone offense, by the way, has been better this year, more efficient anyway, with 61% compared to 54% the previous season. So we've been better in the red zone this year than past, but still we get too cute at times where we don't need to be doing that. I wish.
Yeah.
especially with the offensive line we have and how it's not strong. I just wish there was a way for us to power the football in and run the ball better.
Correct. So the biggest thing we need to do this game truly is get the run going. When you get the run going, you set the play action, you set up greatness right here. So I want you to think about something right here. Cleveland Browns are the third lowest in against play action. Third lowest. We do play action. Hold on, I got it right here. 180 attempts. We are fifth in the league in play action attempts, whether the run's going or not. So we got to get the run going so we can make them bite and get those guys open in the deep in the field.
Yeah, that's going to be a factor for sure in this game. I think that's where Baker Mayfield has his efficiency this season is through that running game. And you talked about his turnover numbers being lower than expected, and that has a lot to do with that running game that they've created in Cleveland. And KC, really ever since Andy Reid's been involved on this team, we've been a pass-first offense. We've known that with Alex Smith. We've known that with Mahomes. Even whenever we've had backups come in like Nick Foles and Chase Daniel, it was still a pass-first offense. That's Andy Reid's MO. That's what he does. That's what he's always done. That's what he did in Philly. It's just him. He can't help it. There's times where we're over here begging, like, Andy, just run the ball every once in a while. Pat Mahomes doesn't need to throw 50 times a game. Because we had a time period there, Tanner, where we had 4 weeks in a row where Mahomes was throwing 45 times a game. Now, his numbers looked great, of course, because you're throwing 45 times a game, and Mahomes himself was doing a great job. But I think the mixing it up a little bit between the balance of run and pass sometimes can get frustrating within fans, especially when we know if we could have a better play-action game, then those deep ball numbers that I just told you guys about the lack of 50-yard plays this season would be much higher because we know we have the talent for it. We know we have Mecole Hardman. We know we have Tyreek Hill guys that can stretch the field vertically. And those did not happen nearly as much this year as they have in the past previous 2 years with Mahomes.
Yeah, but the play is different too. Like, you got to think about that. They know what we do last year. What we did last year, so they're going to play us a little different. So, real quick, before we wrap up the Chiefs talk here and give our score predictions and everything, just a couple matchup histories, right, for the last 5-6 years now, I guess it is. So, in 2015, Chiefs won over the Browns 13-17. And in 2018, we beat the Browns as well, 37-21. So, I mean, granted, these are two vastly different teams, the Browns. But I'd say we continue this tradition.
Do you have a favorite Chiefs-Browns game of all time that comes to mind? Because I do.
Favorite Chiefs-Browns game? Just the highlights I saw of the good old Derek Thomas game, where Derek Thomas sacks the quarterback to get that win. Remember that in the playoffs?
To get into the playoffs?
Yeah, no, to win a playoff. Or no, you have to get in the playoffs. Sorry, it was to get in the playoffs.
Interesting. I don't know if I remember that one very well.
DT comes up with a game-winning sack.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, he was good at being clutch in tough moments for sure.
So, but what do you got? What's your favorite?
Do you remember a game? This was about 18 years ago. It was a week 1 of the NFL season, as a matter of fact.
5 minutes ago.
Week 1 of the NFL season. It was Chiefs versus Browns, and it was at the very end of the game. And someone from the Browns, it was on the end of a game field goal kind of deal. So the Chiefs, Morton Anderson, I believe, missed the field goal originally at the end of the game. The Chiefs sort of won the game 40-39 at that point, but he missed a field goal. But here's what happened: one of the players from the Cleveland Browns took their helmet off, I think, during the play.
The helmet game.
There was a helmet game there, and so the Chiefs ended up getting another retry. But then something happened, I think, with John Tate, the Chiefs' offensive lineman at the time, and it was like a big dramatic ending. Basically, at the end of the day, the Chiefs ended up getting another chance at the end of that game to go through and get a victory there. And it was very frustrating. It was actually, let's see here. It was actually.
You got video.
I'm pulling it up here actually right now.
You describe it to our viewers here.
And so yes, it was Rudd from Cleveland. Okay, so John Tate picked up the ball at the very end of the game. So it was a sack.
It was a pitch lateral.
So it was a lateral from Trent Green, pitched back to John Tate. John Tate then runs the ball down the field about 30 yards, gets taken out of bounds at the 25-yard line. And so everyone's walking off the field because there's no time left on the clock. And so we're thinking the game's over, right? Well, what happened during that lateral was that one of the Browns linebackers actually took his helmet off in the middle of the play. So the referees threw a flag, and when he threw the flag, the play and the game cannot end on a penalty.
Cannot end
correct,
on a
Tanner?
penalty. That is correct.
And so at that point, they had to allow the Chiefs to kick the field goal. Otherwise, they would have lost 37-39.
We know Morton's not missing two.
Morton Anderson, old man over there, gets up there, and this ended up being kind of a chip shot for him. It was under 40 yards at the end of that. And so he ended up kicking it through to win the game for the Chiefs. But the Browns, they could not believe this. It was actually a very funny moment. But it was one of my 12-year-old moments as a Chiefs fan, I suppose, of Week 1 football. So that's my favorite one. I'm sure Browns fans, anyone out there listening, their favorite would probably be whenever Josh Cribbs and Jerome Harrison just returned and ran all up the Chiefs' ass, because Jerome Harrison set a record, I think, or at least close to the record that day.
What was that, 08? They did that one?
Harrison put up 286 yards rushing on the Chiefs, which was actually only behind Jamal Lewis and Adrian Peterson at the time, so he finished third all-time for a single game. And Josh Cribbs had 2 return touchdowns as well in that same exact game. So, yes, the Browns, you've had your moments with the Chiefs. The Chiefs have had their moments. And so we're going to go ahead and get that squared up here this weekend. And let's talk about our score prediction, I guess.
So what are you thinking, Mike? Are we thinking it's going to be a close game, a big game? Like, are we going off of trends, or it's just going to be just an interesting one?
I trust the Chiefs, and I trust the Chiefs' offense especially. And I think that the defense will step up like they did last year in the playoffs when things really mattered at the end. But I'm going to go, a buddy of mine texted me earlier today, Todd out there. He said 41-24, or 23 is actually what he said, 41-23. I'm going to go 38 Chiefs and 24 Browns.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I'm going to go 31-21 Chiefs. 31-21. I think we'll get over 30. I think as long as we get over 30, we'll win the game. But we got to start fast, too. We got to start fast. We can't do this whole Houston Texans thing like we did last year. It's not going to work out at all.
I totally agree. Shall we do some picks for our rest of our playoff games?
Yeah, let's go down the way here. So we got the after the Chiefs here, we got the Ravens and the Bills playing their divisional matchup coming up. So, what's your thoughts on this game here? Because the Ravens looked hella good against the Titans. They really came out firing. I thought it was a defensive game. So I was out working out, and I was watching the beginning of this Ravens-Titans game. And I was like, damn, this is going to be a defensive game. Like, they were just stuffing each other. The secondary was doing their thing. And then I had to leave. I went back home. I had to swap my car out and stuff. And next thing I know, the Ravens were up by 15 points or something like that. And I'm like, what happened here? The Titans were just up 10-7. And turns out Lamar Jackson decided he wanted to play ball. And I watched the highlights of that, and Lamar ran really well. This stuff, Derek, how the Chiefs win last year against the Titans?
They stopped Derrick Henry.
You stopped Derrick Henry.
Held him to 40 yards rushing.
Even A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown had a hell of a game still. He had some amazing catches in that game, but it's just too much Ravens defense going on at the right time for them.
Yeah, I thought Tennessee could have played much better, and there was a lot of mishaps. I think the play calling was fine, but the execution was bad, on their end of things. But as far as this game, this is the game of the week. If you were to look at as far as matchups and how close this could be, right now the line is Bills by 2.5 points, and the over/under is 50. And this is very accurate. 2.5 points going towards the Bills' favor at home, which if you take that aspect of at home away, that actually means the Ravens have the edge if we're playing at a neutral field of 0.5 point. That's how close this game is. As far as they don't know where the odds makers don't know what to do with this game.
What do you do with it?
The Ravens are a team that can get hot, and Lamar Jackson, as we saw running, the way he can run, some of the designed runs he's got are just incredible. And I think that's a very interesting team. They have a good defense, great running game, obviously. And when Lamar is throwing well and just comfortable, then it's a whole different team than when he's uncomfortable and having to make throws off balance and things like that. But here's the thing for me. Josh Allen this year was in the MVP discussion.
Yes.
For sure. He deserved to be at least talked about. I think that the MVP of this NFL season is Aaron Rodgers. But I think that Josh Allen had an incredible season. I love the way the guy plays. Just freaking his maturity and acceleration throughout his career has been phenomenal. And we saw him from his rookie year, second year, and here we are now with Allen's third year. And his third year was the big jump, and especially getting Stephon Diggs on that team.
How huge was
the best connection in the NFL right now between those two consistently. They're just there for each other, it seems like, at times. I like the Bills quite a bit in this game, just based on Josh Allen and what I believe he can do both with his own legs as well as with his arms. I think he's a much better and more accurate passer than Lamar Jackson is, because he can stretch the entire field sideline to sideline, outside the numbers, going to the boundaries, where I think Lamar Jackson's more suited towards throwing down the middle of the field to his tight ends.
Now, just a heads up here, Lamar himself, he's never played in a snow game. And there's a possibility for a few inches of snow coming up Buffalo's way as it hits Minnesota tomorrow morning. So that will be heading in right in time for this game into Buffalo. Now, you never know anything over the Great Lakes. It turns into 1 to 2 inches forecast, could be up to 6 to 10 inches after that. So that's what she said.
Yeah, Jason over there says, Jason Hammett, that is, says Bills easily. And Shannon's on there saying Mike. So
I don't know why.
Thank you two both for listening and joining on in. So what do you think about this game?
I think Bills win this. I think they're just a better team overall. They've been more consistent throughout the year. I see the Ravens. Yes, they got some. I don't know. They just got some confidence going. They got the mad. There's mad playing, but I really like the Bills in this game. I think they're just a better team right now. And unfortunately for Lamar, I don't think you're going to win this one, man.
Now, let's just hope if it comes down to Bills, Kansas City, this isn't a repeat of the 1993 season where the Chiefs and Bills faced off in the AFC Championship, by the way. Do you remember that one, Tanner?
I don't.
Well, that's what it came down to. The Bills, obviously, as we know, ended up winning that game and then losing in the Super Bowl. But I hope that this time around it's a little different for our sake, at least. But it'll be a great game if it comes down to the 1 versus the 2.
See, I don't care which other one, because it's going to be a hell of a matchup come the AFC Championship game. I just give me good games, man. Just give me good games. I want the best of the best.
All right, so we talked a little bit about the Rams and Packers for a second a little bit ago, but let's talk real quick. What?
We're going to go actually Brady's Breeze.
That's what I was going to say.
We are?
Yeah, I want to talk Brady Breeze. I want to talk Buccaneers and Saints. I want to talk about the 2 best quarterbacks statistically of all time.
How crazy is that?
Which is so cool to see them facing off in the playoffs for the first time ever between the two. Because this is always a matchup we've always kind of wanted to see in the past. I think we always kind of wanted to see the idea of in the prime, at least, of Tom Brady, which he still is kind of
the way he's playing right now.
Patriots versus Saints in their prime would have been a beautiful game for the Super Bowl, 5, 6, 7 years ago. But now we're getting to see it in the playoffs with the Buccaneers and the Saints. And I really, really like the way the Saints defense performs. I thought that their defensive line gave the Chiefs a lot of fits. That was not an easy game at all for Kansas City to win. And then meanwhile, the Buccaneers were a team, the Chiefs kind of went out there and rolled them. But that's not who they are. That's not who the Buccaneers are. The Buccaneers are better than that.
No, the Buccaneers are just so inconsistent at times when they play good teams. For whatever reason, they're just not consistent half the time. That's why their record is what they are right now.
Yeah, and this is a tough game to pick for me because I trust Tom Brady, and I think Tom Brady is physically more healthy than Drew Brees. And so that's kind of what I'm leaning towards right here. But I think the defense of New Orleans is actually better right now than Tampa Bay's is.
I completely disagree with you.
No?
Drew Brees has his weapons in, baby.
Okay.
Michael Thomas is playing.
Back.
Emmanuel Sanders is going. Alvin Kamara. And Drew Brees is looking like Drew Brees right now. I am super excited to see this go off against a defense again for the 3rd time this year, Matt, mind the way, where the Saints have owned the Bucs. And I'm excited to see Drew Brees own Brady once again. But don't get me wrong, Brady is going to go all out in this game again. And he's probably going to be over 300 yards passing.
Well, the Saints did have a top 5 defense this year in the NFL, so keep that in mind as well when it comes to things like especially rushing yards per game, passing yards, interception rate, and sacks per pass attempt and points allowed per game.
This is going to be
the Saints are a legitimate defense. They could give Tom Brady fits. And so that's what I'm expecting from the Saints, just because they're scary. And they had a defensive end, Hendrickson over there, who was snubbed from the Pro Bowl, which we both don't care about that. But that dude is nasty.
Mike's mentioned that three weeks in a row.
Because he gave me also a half chub. And so I'm going to give him a big, because he owned Eric Fisher all game long. And so, yeah, we talked about a Nick Chubb and a half Chubb. Well, the Saints DN gives me a half Chubb as well. So he makes me very happy to watch.
Man.
But what's your take? Who's going to win this game for you?
So I think the Saints win. I think they're just a better team overall, especially with Michael Thomas back. They got Alvin Kamara just doing what Alvin Kamara does, and they got a little bit more weapons up front. So outside of, I guess Mike Evans, as long as he's healthy, Tom Brady will be fine. It'll be a lot closer this time around. It's going to come down to probably a classic Drew Brees last 2-minute drive to win this game, but I go Saints win this game.
So, Tanner, this game starts at after the Chiefs game, as a matter of fact,
Yes.
at 5:40 p.m. Are you going to remember who wins this game? Or are you going to be too drunk to remember this?
Oh, no, I'll remember who wins this game.
Okay.
I got to work on Monday.
What are we going to, because obviously we're going to be hanging out, those of you listening, we're going to be planning
Yes.
at least on going out to Brewbreakers over in Lenexa and getting our little room. That's just,
What are you telling people?
it's just don't. All right.
I have to go 3 hours before.
We got to get there whenever they open. We'll just walk in. Tell them to get us a beer. But yeah, we'll be obviously there during the Chiefs game and then see what all happens afterwards. But yes, I'm looking forward to 2 wonderful games that day. And I trust the Saints defense to prevail. I'm going with the Saints to win.
Third
over
time in a
Tampa Bay.
row.
As much as I like the Buccaneers, like their team, I love Chris Godwin. I like Mike Evans a lot. I enjoy
Antonio Brown.
Brown's a good player, I guess.
He's been really great.
I know. I don't like him, but I like him as a player, I guess.
Yeah.
But Tom Brady, I still love Tom Brady. I think he's great. And Tanner, remember my guy? Ronald Jones the third.
He's playing behind Leonard Fournette because he's still.
Wait, is he the third or the
up.
second? I already forgot.
He's the second, right?
Shh. Okay.
Oh, it's Ronald Jones the third.
Okay.
But he's second string right now because he's been banged up the last few weeks. So Leonard Fournette's been getting bulk of the carries of that.
Yeah, so we'll see how that works out against the Saints. But after that, we talk about the Rams and Packers.
The Rams and Packers. Did you know?
We have to take them seriously.
No, did you know that the Rams, when they played a couple years ago, beat the Packers and Aaron Rodgers? And it was a Packers playoff season, I'm pretty sure.
Was that the last time they faced off?
They faced off,
Was that the
yeah.
last time?
Yep.
Okay. Well, I mean, that was a team that was in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Well, yeah, 2.5 years ago. 2 years. Was it 2 or 3?
3.
3 years ago. Yeah, 3 years ago. All right. Well, at that point, the Rams were going to the Super Bowl anyway, I guess. So.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing though, as I'm not going to discount the Rams in this game because Aaron Rodgers is in a playoff game, and as you've seen this season with the Colts game and the Bucs game, you get in Rodgers' head early, a couple turnovers, right? Just get in his head, get in his mind, hit him a couple times. Aaron Rodgers doesn't recover very well anymore on those kind of things. So if you get in his head, I think this defense can do that for the Rams.
It's possible. I mean, Aaron Donald's pretty impressive, obviously.
He is banged up. Aaron Donald is playing with some rib injury. But Sean McVay said he'd be shocked if he's not out there.
I feel like this is Aaron Rodgers'
I'd be shocked.
second best season of all time. I think his best season of all time was when they won the Super Bowl in 2011 season against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the way he's played this year at this age, especially the most efficient season he's had, second most efficient season, I should say, he's ever had, which is very close. I'm not saying it's like clearly 1 and 2. That's my opinion. This is his second best, but you could argue this is actually his best season of all time. And to do it at this point, and Devontae Adams as a receiver over there, I think he's proven this year he was the most reliable receiver in the NFL all season long. When it came to making plays and touchdowns, and he led the NFL in touchdown receptions. Over Tyreek Hill at 15, by the way, so that tells you the amount of numbers he had put up on that point.
Far, yeah.
I really like the Packers. I think no one's going
Rodgers
to no one besides Patrick Mahomes will outduel Aaron Rodgers. I'll put it that way, and that's my perspective on why I think that the Packers beat the Rams in this playoff game.
I think we're all hoping for a Rodgers-Mahomes Super Bowl.
Scary. Right. We will all be a little bit worried.
Yes, and I won't be watching the game with you because I'm gonna repeat what I did last year. So I'm not.
Why?
I'm not jinxing it.
Oh my
Why?
god.
We won last year. Why would you jinx it? Go to exactly what you did last year. All right. Anyways, we'll get there when we get there. We'll talk about that stuff. But Rodgers is in some kind of different mode this year. Is it the Jordan Love pick? Is it because of the new management? Who knows? Maybe he's familiar with the offense finally. Yeah, I guess that's fine. Pretty sure Rodgers wouldn't have an issue either way. But he is in a different mind. And yes, Jason Hammett, yes, Rodgers should win the MVP.
Yep.
Because he actually did perform pretty damn well all season long outside of those 2 games.
Yep.
So, but just my biggest thing for me is the Rams defense. If they can start off with a turnover or 2, or a few, like probably about the whole first quarter of just keeping him under 3 and outs, like it's going to get in his head, and it's really hard, as we saw last year against the 49ers too, for him to recover from those kind of plays.
Yeah, and I'm there with Tanner. I said earlier, Jason, as far as you want to see that's at least following along with us, Rodgers is my MVP of the season without a doubt. He was the most efficient and consistent, besides really the one bad game against Tampa Bay early on in the season. I thought that Rodgers played phenomenal, so that is definitely my guy. We're both going Packers here?
Yeah, we're both Packers. I'm going Packers.
Did we disagree on any games, Tanner? We all agree on...
I think we agreed on
Packers,
everything.
Saints, Bills, Chiefs.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
so
we all agreed.
We're all on the same page here. That's good. You want to be following along with the winner of the Pick'ems this year, Tanner. So I'm glad that you're joining along with
I'm not gonna hear the end
my
of that
decisions. Well, you challenged me earlier on in the season, and so I had to let it be known who was the damn master of the Pick'ems. So speaking of, we're talking about places we are going, or I'm going sometime here for the game. I'm not going to say that word once again because I don't want you guys to be stealing my spot out there listening. Tanner, what's actually your favorite venue to go watch a football game? Anywhere outside, anywhere in Kansas City, anywhere ever. What's your favorite place to go watch a game?
You mean like outside of the stadium?
Correct.
Well, damn, I don't. Actually, sorry. Where I went for the Super Bowl was pretty damn awesome. My friend Dave's house. He has a full-out bar in the bottom, comfy couches, a pool table, and I can walk in and out to 2 different rooms, no matter what I want to do. Drink my own whiskey and just enjoy it. Just enjoy the game, guys. If I had to actually pick a venue, though, I'd probably go Johnny's.
Johnny's Tavern.
Yeah, I love Johnny's Tavern.
You got some like emotional attachment there or
It's
something
weird.
with that place. I don't know what it is, but that's fine. We all got our things, I guess.
See, I wish we lived in a warmer climate so I can go like outside and go to like outside venues at this time, and then in the month of February to watch it outside, because I think that would be super awesome.
Yeah, I agree. And last year for the Super Bowl, we actually had great weather back then. That was a freaking awesome day. And so we were very lucky then. And I went to Saints and Lenexa, actually, where I watched the Super Bowl at, and was there all day long. And I honestly don't even remember this. No offense to anyone out there, but apparently after the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, someone caught me off guard while I was very emotional. I was crying.
Yep.
I talked to my dad on the phone.
Yep.
And I was apparently, I told someone that I'd be their man of honor after the Chiefs won the Super Bowl.
You did.
And so that was the thing I did. I mean, obviously, if you catch me in a moment like that, I'll probably just agree to anything.
And the best part about it is you're honoring it. So
Oh yeah, it's
as
gonna
you
happen.
should.
It's gonna
first
happen.
off.
I'm not complaining.
It's awesome.
At that moment, you could just ask me anything. And
She knew when to she knew when to ask you, and that was the best part about it. Now I wonder if she would have asked you if that didn't happen anyways. So
maybe, but she knew when to time it. She was like, I'm gonna time this the right way.
She probably would have waited a week or
then-
2 extra.
I will be involved in the wedding based on that. I would have said yes to anything at that point. Like, I was in love with the world. Like, literally anyone could just... I was, like, hugging the waitress. I hugged random guys at the bar. I was, like, literally hugging... I grabbed my waitress and just... gave her a big old squeeze, and she didn't care. She was having a fun time, too. But,
Right.
like, at that point, I just was, like, wanted to make love to the entire world. So, of course, accepting
you
any kind of
kinda did.
offer that was going to happen.
That sidewalk, I heard, has regrets. But anyways,
Well, that's not what happened. But my point is, my favorite place, I guess, to watch a football game so far, with at least in the past few years anyway, when I'm not at Arrowhead, of course, is Twin Peaks in Olathe.
Yeah, Twin
That is by
Peaks
far
is
my favorite
solid.
spot, and I enjoy that place so much because the service is superb, the food is great,
And the beer is nice and cold.
Beer's good. It's a great environment. There's TVs on every foot of the place.
even in the bathroom, guys.
I've never once had a bad time at Twin Peaks. Never once. And actually, what's funny, Tanner, we're talking about this. You and I think, were the first males
We
to
were.
walk into Twin Peaks when they first opened in Olathe. We were the first ones to be customers at Twin Peaks.
The best part about that story is I worked I was actually a 3 a.m. shift. Got off about 9 a.m. No, it was a 4 to 10. And then I went over, found Mike, and then we walked in right around the 11 o'clock mark when they opened, and we watched the Royals game there. And there's people, like, literally, we were the first ones in. I didn't see a soul in there, and the girls were in there, and they were clapping for us, because we were the first ones to walk in. And I'll carry that with me too.
Yep.
So
Absolutely. They fly in
and the
girls.
Royals won.
They fly. No, they did not, Tanner.
Shut up.
It was James Shields pitching, and he did great because we actually lost 0 to 1.
Yeah, we
The
lost
score was
to the
0 to
freaking
1.
Yes.
It was not a very fun
It
game.
wasn't James' fault.
The game sucked, but the experience of being there was cool.
It was cool.
And their fried pickles are great. So
Yes.
add that to the list of things to like about Twin Peaks. As far as for the Super Bowl, that's a secret. We can't talk about that yet.
Not yet.
We have more podcasts to come along the way before we discuss where we're going to be at for that. But Tanner, what else do you have to add right now for us?
Not a lot, man. There's, we got college football wrapped up. We got the NBA under swing, especially with that new trade, I announced today. The huge news for the nation today was pretty big of James Harden going to the Nets. So, really outside of that, guys, college balls, conference play is going on for basketball. I know K-State fans are okay. KU fans are fine. Oklahoma State lost, whatever. We'll be fine. We're not going to win the Big 12 anyways. Baylor is, so... Oh, hockey! Yes, hockey did start today.
We're getting hockey going, of course.
Totally forgot about that. So we got that going. But yeah, guys, I don't really have a lot to add right now. Nothing else special going on.
Yeah, as soon as football's over, we'll be talking way more, involved with NBA, MLB as time goes on, and of course NHL. I personally am a Hurricanes fan, and so I'll be following them along for a bit. I enjoy their style of play, I guess, but my dad himself is an Avalanche fan, living in Colorado, and I have other friends as well that are Avalanche fans. So we'll just keep in touch on those kind of things, and we'll have some interesting NBA talks with Jason JG when he gets back over here at some point.
That we will. We'll definitely get more NBA going as we wrap up the NFL season, guys.
Yeah, so that is all I have to say for the rest of this show. We hit on the Chiefs for a long, long time, as we should, as what was needed.
Yes.
And so
But hey,
we
guys,
will be back after the game, and we'll discuss what happened, I guess.
hey, give us a follow on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all/sports buffoons. Subscribe as well if you're there. We're all on all major podcast platforms, including Apple, including Amazon, including Google, and Spotify, and iHeartRadio. And then just give us a yell, guys. We love talking sports, obviously. We love talking just in general. So if you have another conversation, bring it up. Let's chat offline as well.
Yeah, give us conversation points at any time. We'd love to discuss anything out there for you guys, and follow us along and chat with us as well. Each and every Wednesday night, our show goes live on Thursday mornings, of course. But if you follow along on Twitch, you get to see a preview of what is to come for our podcast segment that goes out on Spotify and everything else. So,
yes, definitely.
Join us with that. I'm going to go take a shower and shave my head, so that's what I have planned out for the next few minutes.
That's interesting. All right.
So that's what I got going on. But otherwise, Tanner, you can finish this off here, but I'm going to see you all on the next one.
We'll see you guys.